Good evening, everyone. This is Atticus from The Complete Trade, and today we're going to be taking a look at the supposed Bitcoin bear case. Can Bitcoin still crash to $10,000 to $12,000? Most people right now either have their shorts on Bitcoin liquidated or are ill positioned in crypto. So let's see what it would take for Bitcoin to crash to $12,000. Now, Bitcoin needs to crash 64% from today's prices in order to reach $12,000. Now, this is a chart we've been tracking for a while now. It's the Bitcoin against the S&P 500 valuation. You can go back to previous episodes. This chart broke out of an inverse head and shoulders pattern, retested the neckline and the 50 weekly moving average in orange, and is now breaking out towards the upside. Now, if Bitcoin against the S&P 500 valuation continues to break higher, it has two implications. Where either one, in a bull market where Bitcoin outperforms the S&P 500, or two, we're in a bear market where Bitcoin crashes less than the S&P 500. Logic would tell you that number two makes no sense at all. Last year in 2022, the S&P 500 crashed 30% and Bitcoin crashed nearly 80%. But let's assume for entertainment purposes that the bears are correct and that this time it really is different. So Bitcoin needs to crash 64% to get to 12,000. According to option number two, the S&P 500 would have to crash more than 64%. So let's actually go back in history and see how many times has the S&P 500 actually crashed more than 64%. So back in 2022, the S&P 500 crashed 27%. Back in 2020, the S&P 500 crashed 35%. Back in 2008, the S&P 500 crashed 57%. Back in 2000, the S&P 500 crashed 50%. Back in 1987, the S&P 500 crashed 36%. Back in 1973, the S&P 500 crashed 49%. The big one. This is going to be it. This is the big one. All right. So in 1929, the S&P 500 crashed 86%. There's hope for the bears. There we go. There's hope, right? So basically, there has only been one time in history where the stock market has crashed more than 64%, and that's back in 1929. A 64% crash on the S&P 500 today. So the S&P 500 is currently trading at 4,200. So a 64% crash from here would be at what, 1,400 to 1,500? Let me check. 1,512. Okay. So in summary, in order for Bitcoin to get to $12,000, the S&P 500 would have to get to $1,512. Good luck with that.